We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of new players. I think they're talented and are a good group, but we've got a lot of new faces to try to blend together and try to get to work together. So we've got 1 month from tonight, I guess, and we'll be opening up. So a lot of work to do in the next month, but I do like our talent level, and hopefully we can put a ball team together.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open up to questions now. Please feel free to come up to Coach Altman and the student athletes in the back of the room.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering, you've been around the conference for a while and you brought in some really good recruiting classes. But this year, it seems like the recruiting has even gone up overall across the conference. How have you seen kind of the influx of talent come in over the years?
Do I use the microphone? I do. The talent level for the league, I think is really good. There are a lot of schools had really good recruiting years, and there's always a sleeper or two in the bunch, that everybody doesn't anticipate, becoming a really good player. We had Dylan Brooks a few years back that turned into a really good one. So, excuse me. It's not an exact science, recruiting. And with players, coming and going, one and dones, it's kind of hard to figure, who can make the impact for the 1 or 2 years that they may be there, as opposed to a player that, that hangs around for 3 or 4 years. Peyton being a great example of that. He was a high recruit, but he's stayed with us. He's going to leave as the all-time winningest player in Oregon basketball history. So, again, recruiting is not an exact science, but I do like, the players, that I see coming into the league. We recruited a lot of them that we didn't get. You get told no a lot more than you get told yes. So a lot of really talented players coming into the league this year, and, hopefully everybody will be able to make the adjustment quickly. November and December have seemed to taken on much more importance in the last few years with the selection committee. How your team does in November and December, and I think the pendulum has swung too far the other way. It used to be the last 10 games. How you're doing now, it's November and December. So, but it will be a very important non-conference for all of us.
And you mentioned Peyton there. What's it been like to see him develop now? Not only going to be the winningest player, could be the assist steals record holder as well.
To watch Peyton, grow over his 4 years. He was our point guard on our Final Four team, and last year really exploded to take us to the Sweet 16. And he's a talented young man that's driven. He works very hard at his game. So you love players like that. Yeah, you love players in your program like that, where it's all about the team winning. He wants to play well. He wants to do well for himself. But most important thing, is winning ball games and leading his team. And he probably tried to do too much for a period last year, and he struggled a little bit, but really bounced back and played his tail off down the stretch.
Coach, you mentioned the scheduling. They announced today that you guys are going to be in Vegas against the Big 12. Do you like kind of the conference taken away to kind of find one more game for you?
I think it's great. I think, going to Vegas, first of all, and playing where we play our conference tournament is always a positive. I know we're going to play a good opponent. They haven't quite signed yet, but we got a pretty good idea who it's going to be, so we're pretty excited about it. And then going down to Dallas and playing the following year, is something we're excited about. So I think it's great. I think our conference and Oakview and MGM and them sponsoring this, I think it's great for our league. I think, I'm glad Jamie and the Pac-12 took the initiative and really jumped on this. And I know Tad and Mike and I are all excited that first year to get things kicked off.
Coach, you always talk about the importance of defending and rebounding, and your teams every year seem to get better as the guys buy in. How's that going early on this year?
Well, I'm hoping the three guys, that returned from last year's ball club, will tell the guys, we need to start right away. Our communication defensively and the effort that goes into it. Everybody wants to score, and their families, their girlfriend, everybody claps, and they do like that, and I understand that. It's human nature, but defense and rebounding, you look over the course of the year, and you look at the last two teams last year, Texas Tech and Virginia. I think they both, their analytics, they were top 10, top 5 defensive teams, and so, defense does win. Villanova's won a couple, and, they're defensively always very good. Jay does a great job. So you look at the teams that have taken it all the way, and their defensive production's been pretty good. The year that we went to the Final Four defensively, we were very good. So, I think over the course of time, it's proven that if you're going to make a long run throughout the season, throughout the tournament, your defense better be pretty solid because you're not going to shoot it well every night.
Do you have an Elgin Cook, junkyard dog type guy?
Those guys are hard to find. We miss Elgin something terrible. He was very good for us. I think that we have a number of guys. Francis is physical. Shakur, grad transfer from Vegas, is physical. C.J. Walker's aggressive, and for a freshman, and I think our other freshmen are starting to get a feel for the physicality of college ball, and I think they'll make the adjustment. But I do like our guys. I like their length. We're just not physical enough right now on the boards or the defensive end. Our idea of being defensively physical right now is just grabbing and holding, so we've got a lot of work to do there. But again, the next month's going to be critical for us because of our early schedule is so difficult. So we're going to have a lot of work here in the next month.
It seems like your summertime recruiting may have pushed you over the top to be picked to finish number 1. What do you think of that? With all the new guys you got.
Well, I like the guys. I think the 2 grad transfers are really going to be important for us. I think it still goes back though to the guys we signed early, C.J. Walker and Chris Duarte. Those guys, Chandler Lawson, are all going to have to be a big part of our team. The 3 guys we got returning really going to have to lead us through the early part of the season, Peyton, Will, and Francis. And then hopefully the freshmen will come along. Again, the adjustment to Division I basketball, you don't know how quickly they're going to make that adjustment, how quickly they're going to feel comfortable playing with their new teammates and in front of big crowds. And, again, Fresno, Boise, Memphis, Houston, and Seton Hall are, 5 of our first 6 games, so they're going to have to make the adjustment very quickly.
Coach, every year I do a few of your games, and every year I laugh because you do great, then you come back up here and you downplay it. You say recruiting is not an exact science, but you seem to have the exact formula on how to get it done. Every year, I don't care who you lose. You lose Bobo last year, and me personally, I think you're done, but you're going a great run. You mentioned Elgin Cook, Dylan Brooks. I don't care who you lose, you always seem to find a way to get it done the following season. I mean, how do you do it? I mean, I know you go up to Canada. I know you got a pipeline up there, but how do you get it done?
We've got a great staff. That Tony's been with me for 10 years, starting our 10th season together. Josh Jameson's been with me for 10. Kevin's been with me at Creighton in this. So, we've just got a real experienced staff. Mike Miniga's going on his 5th or 6th year. So, that continuity in the staff, I think, helps, because they all believe in what we're doing. But it goes back to players, and those guys recruit their tails off, and we get good players. And we got good guys. They could have quit on us last year. We were struggling. I mean, ups and downs, and, Lewis doesn't play the first 9 games because of his knee. Then we lose Bull right when we get him back. Kenny broke his jaw and was out a month. We get him back, and Paul springs his ankle, and he's done. And so we're 15-12, and we're not playing very well. And they could have given up on our coaching staff. They could have given up on each other. But I thought they showed tremendous character and and continuing to grind. And it's a long season. I keep telling them, all we got to do, confidence is right around the corner. You got to have one good one, and that'll bounce right back. And they picked it up, and man, it was a great run. And we had a couple bad offensive possessions against Virginia, or we would have had a shot there down the stretch. We're leading with 4 minutes to go, and just two really bad possessions, and didn't give ourselves a chance. But they were a good group of guys, and I think we got a good group this year. I think they're really talented. I think they're good guys. I think they'll be fun to work with. Again, it's a marathon. It's start October 1, and you're going hopefully till April 1. That's 6 full months, and you got to have good guys. Guys that want to be there and want to play together, and we've been really fortunate at Oregon to recruit really good guys that'll stay with it.
What's Dante's status, or that there's some doubt maybe?
Well, we're still going through admissions with him, so.
Is it possible, if it didn't work out, you might get him after the fall semester?
I'm not really sure, what his situation is, and we'll get it worked out here this week.
You talked a little bit about your assistant coaches and the longevity of your crew being together and recruiting, but I watched in game. I was quite impressed with how you're a pretty well-oiled machine there with your assistant coaches. Can you talk a little bit about the roles each one of them plays?
Well, I think that is important. The guys have been with me, and Tony is a tremendous defensive coach. He really gets after our guys and gets them to play hard. He's got great rapport with our guys, and so I think he gives us something defensively that really gets our guys going. Kevin and I have done a lot of the same things offensively over the years because we were together at Creighton and here, so that's helped. And Mike's really good at player development and working with guys. So I think they all have their roles. They all work their tails off, which is a big part of it. And the other part, I think the players trust them. They've been around a long time. They're all experienced. They've been at Oregon a long time. So if the guys are with us, there's just a trust factor that goes in there. And but it's a great group. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that Tony has stayed with us, and Mike and everybody. It's a good group, and Josh has been there for a long time, Jameson, and keeps us all moving in the right direction.
Hey, Dana, how hard is it? It seems preseason's got, from 100 years ago when we got shorter, and you've dealt with the transfers and one and dones, or guys leaving for whatever reason early. Compared to you had great success, obviously, when you had a little bit of continuity. And how different is the preseason with a team like this when there's so many new faces as opposed to when you've got some significant carryover?
The preseason is much different. We had experienced teams there for a couple years and had great runs. And offensively, our efficiency numbers were really good because of that carryover. And then the last 2 years, we've tried to blend in so many new players. And I think that we've tried to do too much offensively, and we lost a little of our aggressiveness. And so this year we're trying to, keep it a little simpler offensively and let them attack more and be a little bit more aggressive. And I think learned my lesson the last 2 years. You got to be careful about giving them too much and having them think too much and not attack and be aggressive offensively. Defensively, I think we want to do the same things, but I think the difference between this ball club and some of the last 2 years compared to the experienced teams that went a long way for us, you just got to be careful about letting them play, and overcoaching them, giving them too much, and having them thinking too much rather than just going out and attacking and being aggressive.
Is that, following up that, was that part of the deal last year where you really seemed to hit your stride but not until February? And could this have the same?
It's part of it. Part of it, the last 2 years, our offensive numbers, offensive efficiency haven't been good. And I think a lot of that's on me because I did give them too much and didn't let them attack or didn't get them to be aggressive offensively, give them that freedom. Last year so much of it was injuries because we geared so much the first 9 games to bowl. He was getting 21 and 10, and then we had to kind of turn directions there, and that didn't help us any. But I do think we've tried to look at what we didn't do well, the last couple of years, and watching the film, I just don't think we were aggressive enough, and we've got to change that by letting them play, let them, not take a few bad shots and be aggressive and not get carried away with themselves, but we got to be more aggressive in the open court. We need to be more aggressive in the half court, and I think freeing them up and not giving them nearly as many sets, but trying to do the ones we put in much better.
Got time for one more.
For Francis and Will, what's going to be the challenge now, the next step for them?
Well, Francis and Will, early they've got to communicate with guys. They know our system, what we're trying to do defensively. They know where our shortcomings were last year when we weren't playing well. So I'm hoping they'll pass that knowledge on to the rest of the guys. How much better we have to communicate earlier, defensively, and play together offensively much better than what we did. So I'm hoping that their experience down the stretch gave them some insight on how we want to play throughout the season, and what we need to do defensively, and how important depending on each other, communicating with each other, how important that is.
That's all we have time for Oregon. Coach, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks.